Pro football today on SportsGrid. We appreciate you sticking with us, Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi. And we want to reward you. We're going to get right to it. It's time for your Sunday morning crunch. All right, Joe, let's put these props on the board. Our three favorites here on this Sunday. What do we like?
I'm going to the early game, Denver and Houston. If you watch Denver's offense, Evan Ingram has been implemented a little bit more and more. He's getting in the area of about 5 to 6 targets a day. He's got a low number yet again. I think he could break out potentially, Kev, to 30, 35, or even maybe 40 yards in this ball game. I think secondary options for Bo Nix are where this game and this offense plays out. So I do like Evan Ingram over his total. I do like Geno Smith a little bit later today with the addition of Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers coming back. I think Geno Smith poised for a breakout performance. I think Jacksonville will push a little bit of tempo, and I just think that Geno Smith potentially over his total. The other one, who's up on there? Who did I give in the other one?
Juwan Jennings.
Juwan Jennings.
Smith.
Jennings cost me last week, and you know that big. He had a big drop for about 35 yards, but you look at his number today, I think he's going to be the number one option. Also took him for an anytime touchdown, but to me, Juwan Jennings could potentially be the number one target. And when you look at New York, down a couple of, experienced corners and defensive backs in this game, I expect San Francisco to attack that secondary later today.
Listen, I think we've got some good looks there, Joe. We're going to talk to NFL insider Adam Kaplan in 10 minutes' time. We're also going to get the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, on as well to go through some of the injury news. And there are some injuries today for the Atlanta Falcons. Their pass defense, their pass rush, a little banged up. But on the New England side, the most notable injury is to Ramondre Stevenson. A lot of people are expecting then the ground game to flourish for Trevion Henderson, maybe. But don't forget about Drake May, a very mobile quarterback whose long rush prop stands out to me at 13.5. He's gone over this in 3 consecutive games. A Falcons team who allowed a 20-yard run to Marcus Mariota on his lone carry of that game and a 24-yard run to Josh Allen. I think you'll see Drake May take off. Similar approach or similar kind of play here. Give me Bo Nix over 20.5 rushing yards. Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos this season in 2 blowout wins, 3 rushing yards per game. In the other 6 close games, 28 yards per game. Knicks with 22 or more yards in 4 of his 6 close games. And this day they enter as a slight dog on the road against the Houston Texans. I think Knicks on the ground is live. And our last one will send us off into the biggest game on this slate, but is a Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown at plus 115. I'm kind of stunned by this number. Kareem Hunt has completely taken over the KC backfield in terms of the goal line. But now there's no room for funny business with an absent Isaiah Pacheco. Hunt is coming off of a game with multiple touchdowns. His second time this year having 2+ touchdowns for Kansas City. It's a Bills team who has given up far more of their touchdowns this year on the ground as opposed to the air. 52.5 total, Joe, in prime time. I like Kareem Hunt for an anytime touchdown. And let's get right into it here. Buffalo and Kansas City. Every year, Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes. We see it in the regular season, and then we usually see it in the postseason. What do you expect from today's regular season matchup?
Well, I think it'll go down to the fourth quarter. Again, I don't think this game is going to get out of margin. I think we could see a similar type of performance, what we saw week 1 with Baltimore and Buffalo. You're talking about a team in Kansas City that has an identity now. They enter this ball game on a 3-game winning streak. They've won those games by an average margin of victory of 21.6 points per game. We know Buffalo throughout the years dominant at home. They're 3-1 this year. Their only loss came to New England. And we saw them break out with a 40-point performance on the road against, you could say, an above average at that particular time Carolina team, a team that beat Dallas at home and put up points. They contained Andy Dalton. But the big performance was James Cook on the ground, 216. I don't think they're going to be able to run James Cook in this matchup as consistent. I think Josh Allen will have to make some plays over the top. We saw that with Shakir breaking out last week. I think it could be a big tight end day. I'm going to take the points, though, with Buffalo. This is the MO. This is their Super Bowl. And again, I know they win in the regular season, don't win in the playoffs, but I just think from a matchup perspective, they match up well offensively, and I think they show out today. And I think it's a field goal game, but I think the Bills win it.
Yeah, for me, Joe, I think this is a principal play, if you will.
Is it?
I am stunned at this number. I understand Kansas City is trending and finding their level, and I understand that they are the healthier team. The Kansas City Chiefs were a team who we began this year talking about, wow, home underdog against Philly, home underdog against Baltimore, really short number against Detroit. And they're now laying in Buffalo. Remind you, a Buffalo team that does not lose at home with Josh Allen. You'll say, they lost this year to New England. I know. You're looking for that to happen again. This is a step-up spot for the Buffalo Bills, Joe. I am with you. I took the 2.5 points with these two teams. I'm not going to be, take them, all right?
Right.
Remember Baltimore and Buffalo week number 1, right? It came down to a 1-point game. I'm going to take the 2.5. I can't pass up, though, backing Buffalo as a home underdog with Josh Allen. It's a very rare occurrence to see. It happened again, as we just said, in week number 1, and it came in. But what fascinates me so much about this game is what is on the line in this matchup. Because there are a lot of people who feel as if, it's fine. They'll both be in the playoffs. It's all about the playoffs. They've two best quarterbacks. And for the winner, the win will feel good, right? But it's not going to, whoever wins this game will likely be the Super Bowl favorite and have the MVP favorite. But for the loser, Joe, I think the loser will lose their status as division favorite, with either New England jumping Buffalo in a market that they have been knocking on the door of in terms of the AFC East. If Kansas City loses today, they're 5-4. The Denver Broncos an opportunity today to be 7-2. The Chargers an opportunity today to be 6-3. A loss for Kansas City guarantees they are in third place in their division through 9 weeks. I think it's been an under-discussed element of this game that the losing side will not be the division favorite 9 weeks into the NFL season.
Yeah, it's a great point. And you talk about, Buffalo, if they were to lose 2 games at home against, 2 teams that are playoff caliber type of matchups, that would give maybe questionable MO to McDermott and Josh Allen and this team as a whole. But if, I think it's also important to recognize Kansas City was on life support week number 3, right? And we've seen offenses expose this defense. And again, I'm expecting them to take away the run today, but we've seen Detroit challenge them over the top with the passing attack. We saw an average Trevor Lawrence attack them over the top with the passing game and have success. This is one of the best offenses, one of the best quarterbacks in all of the NFL that I think is going to eat in this matchup. I don't think it's the ground attack like they attacked them last week. I think it is the tight ends, which Kansas City struggles with, the running backs, whether it be Sweet Baby Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, or even James Cook. I think there's success in the passing attack today. And again, I think they'll get exposed. But big picture, even if Kansas City does win this game and they win 4 straight, their defense now still has question marks. Yes, it can carry them, but we've seen offenses expose them to a certain capacity, and I think that's the biggest thing when you put the Chiefs up against the Chargers and Denver in the division. I don't think they're the best team right now.
Yeah, I think for Kansas City, Joe, they are a team who is clicking offensively. I think they can hit a defensive ceiling. I push back. I think if tomorrow playoffs, if they played it on a neutral
we
field,
know that,
but fine. I think if they were playing this week against LA on a neutral field, they'd be the favorite. I think if they were playing this week on a neutral field against Denver, they'd be the favorite. But they have in the same way that when a team is 7-1 or 8-1, we just don't go, obviously they're the best in the league. Kansas City at 5-4, we can view as one of the best teams in the league. But they're 5-4. If that's how this game plays out today, they are going. This is a very important game for both sides. Now, these two teams, along with a few others, will be obvious buyers at the deadline, and that deadline is fast approaching. To talk a little bit more about that is NFL insider Adam Kaplan. He joins us next right here on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid.
what have the Jays done all season long? And you've seen it, Kev, as a fan of the AL East. Yep. They get murdered or lose a heartbreaking game and come back and punch you in the face. They're not. It's what, like the old Jays team used to fold, and that's what I used to hate about them. These guys are different. They're like guys you go to war with. It's like, man, you're my buddy. Like, let's go. Like, their clubhouse dynamic, I've never seen a Blue Jay team where everyone gets along.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Apparently, he's a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. The 49ers are decimated by injury. This guy's doing it again. Wade Phillips, Norv Turner, all these guys, there's a lot of great coordinators out there. I'm not so sure Mike McDaniel isn't a real good coordinator, a run game coordinator, a quarterback coach with the 49ers during some Super Bowl years. Maybe he's just not built to be a head coach.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think a divorce is coming. I don't think LeBron finishes the year with the LA Lakers. And the trump card he tried to play has backfired on him big time. And I'm here for all the smoke. I got my marshmallows. I got my skewers. I got the fireplace. I'm going to sit back, kicking my feet, and watch the LA dysfunction play out in real time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in a football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, you know, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid, it is Pro Football Today. We are now joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, it is always great to talk to you on these Sundays heading into a big-time slate. We did see a notable move. I don't want to oversell it and call it a big-time move, but the Super Bowl champs traded for Jair Alexander, a well-known name who had a weird end in Green Bay and a weirder tenure in Baltimore. What can you tell us about this situation?
All right, so here's what happened with Jair Alexander. So with Alexander, this craziness of coming out as a team captain against the Panthers a few years ago when he wasn't, because I guess he hails from that area. You can't do that. That was bizarre. Lots of injuries, particularly knee injuries. So they asked him to take a pay cut. He refused. He goes to the Ravens. He reunites with his former college teammate, Lamar Jackson. It doesn't work out. He only plays in 2 games, healthy and active for 5. Now, he did have a minor knee injury before the season started, but he got healthy very quickly. And they just didn't think he was in good enough condition to play. And this is what's troubling, Kevin. There are a number of weeks that the Ravens were down with several corners who were hurt, and they didn't play him.
Yeah.
So at 28 years old, you have to answer this question. What is he at this point? 28 is not old. 30 is old. 31 is old. Yes, he's had a number of injuries. He's missed a lot of games. You have to wonder, where is he? He was an elite corner, Kevin, at one point in his career. Now we look at the team that he got traded to, the Eagles. They've got a cornerback problem. Keely Ringo and Dory Jackson have not really worked out to the degree that they want. Ringo's kind of hadn't hurt them lately, but teams really haven't thrown it a lot at him. The bottom line is the Eagles are trying to win another Super Bowl. And that corner position opposite Quinyon Mitchell is a problem. I would not completely rule out them trading for a true corner, a true like Alexander, who doesn't have the warts. But this was not the name that I was expecting. But you know what? At this time of year, the prices are very high. It's quite different than the March when March trading opens, because after Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you can't make a trade till mid-March. But the Eagles did make the trade for Michael Carter, who is a nickel, and I'm told he'll probably see time as a backup safety. By the way, he played safety in college at Duke. But the Eagles are just trying to figure out what they need to do next. And edge, as we move this forward here, is a major priority for this football team. Azeez Ojulari put on injured reserve with a hamstring, and they just don't have enough healthy bodies at edge, and that's one thing they're going to try to get done by Tuesday.
At least there's optimism in Philly, Cap. There's no optimism in Miami. We saw them lose on Thursday night to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. They get blown out yet again. Chris Greer was let go, but they kept Mike McDaniel. So what is the situation now for Greer's replacement, and potentially are they just going to start to rebuild this whole organization?
Yeah, look, Steve Ross is a very patient owner. I'll say this about Steve Ross: he will spend money. That's never been a problem with him as an owner. Where maybe some owners aren't willing to spend money. That's never been a problem. It's they just haven't won enough games. And when you look at Chris Greer's situation, I mean, he'd worked in the NFL for a couple decades. You might remember his dad, Bobby Greer, who worked with the Patriots. So just didn't work out. And the quarterback position with Tua Tagovailoa has been very inconsistent. We know that. We know they should have taken Justin Herbert. Everybody knows that. But fast forwarding the situation. So I've tried to explain this on SportsGrid in recent weeks. Everybody keeps asking about Mike McDaniel. And I said, that'll be dealt with after the season. And they've kind of confirmed that. I said, the thing you got to look at is Chris Greer, the way that he's built his football team, Joe. Not a quality offensive line. That it should always start with the lines. Secondary, which, yes, it's had some injuries, but he's missed on a number of players in the secondary. And the overall roster is not very good. Yeah, they've had a lot of injury problems. So does every other team with injury. You got to get past that and draft better and develop better. So Mike McDaniel, see, here's the thing, Joe. A new general manager generally wants to bring in his own guy. And that's going to be, if Steve Ross is insistent that Mike McDaniel stays, which would be a surprise, that's going to limit the pool of potential general managers. Like Lance Newmark, who's the assistant GM for Washington, who was a finalist for the Jets GM job. Andy Weidel, who's won a bunch of Super Bowls with the Ravens and the Eagles. He's the assistant GM in Pittsburgh. And the list is good. We'll go over it more, guys, when we get closer to the end of the regular season, when we kind of have an idea of how many GM openings we'll have. But I'll say this about the Dolphins. We expect them to be active by the deadline. They haven't been yet, but they will. I know they've changed general managers, but Champ Kelly is the second time he's been interim GM. You might remember he took over a couple years ago and rated for a short period of time. They're getting a lot of calls, and the way it's been explained to me by multiple teams, they're wide open for business. Very few players there aren't a lot of players, Joe, to be honest with you, that they won't listen to. But if you want to call for Jalen Waddle, it's going to cost you because he's one of their best players, and everybody knows that.
Cap, speaking of one of the team's best players, Trey Hendrickson is a name that I see you have listed here. For Cincinnati, if they lose today and they move off of Hendrickson, that sounds to me like you might as well tell Burrow, don't even worry about it because this season is over. Is that how you read things in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, look, here's the thing. Mike Brown, the owner, just like his father, not into trading. I remember writing this for Pro Football Network a couple years ago. They're a team that just does not like to make trades. Each year they're near the bottom in player acquisition in terms of trades. They just don't like to do it. They like to let players walk and get a compensatory pick for a following year, which would be 2027. Now, with Trey Hendrickson, they know that their chances of making the playoffs are slim. There's a lot of interest in him. Now, this is a fact. He's a lingering right hip issue. You got to get through that. Like Arden Key, the edge rusher for the Titans, has a lingering quadriceps issue. He's missed 4 games. You got to know physically where Trey Hendrickson is at with that hip injury, but he's a guy that could put you over the top. Now, I would say this, Kevin, at trade deadlines, it's not like baseball. We can get a great arm to help you go somewhere. Like at receiver, you got to worry about scheme change. More often than not, it doesn't work when you change schemes on offense. With edge rush, Hendrickson's been a hand in the dirt edge rusher. He doesn't do a lot of standing up, so you got to be careful of what scheme he could be acquired to. But they haven't told teams no. They'd rather not trade him because he's theirs, and he's been a great free agent acquisition. But they're a team that has not figured it out on defense despite the coordinator change.
Quickly, Cap, before we let you go here, just probably about 30 or 40 seconds left. Some other teams we should be watching heading into the deadline?
Yeah, Niners may not be done. Chiefs, they need defensive help at edge, defensive tackle. The Chargers need a running back. I know Kamani Vidal did a great job last week. He did, but they just put Hassan Haskins, their third running back, on IR, guys. They need help, but they're not looking for a long-term solution. They have that in Marion Hampton, to be clear here. Some of these teams are looking for short-term solutions, which is why they don't want to give up a lot for guys who are starting right now.
Incredible insight as always. NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great stuff as always. Let's get it over to the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, after a quick break right here on Pro Football Today. We are live on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
what have the Jays done all season long? And you've seen it, Kev, as a fan of the AL East. They get murdered or lose a heartbreaking game and come back and punch you in the face. They're not. It's what like the old Jays team used to fold, and that's what I used to hate about them. These guys are different. They're like guys you go to war with. It's like, man, you're my buddy. Like, let's go. Like, their clubhouse dynamic, I've never seen a Blue Jay team where everyone gets along.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Apparently, he's a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. The 49ers are decimated by injury. This guy's doing it again. Wade Phillips, Norv Turner, all these guys, there's a lot of great coordinators out there. I'm not so sure Mike McDaniel isn't a real good coordinator, a run game coordinator, a quarterback coach with the 49ers during some Super Bowl years. Maybe he's just not built to be a head coach.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
I think a divorce is coming. I don't think LeBron finishes the year with the LA Lakers. And the trump card he tried to play has backfired on him big time. And I'm here for all the smoke. I got my marshmallows, I got my skewers, I got the fireplace. I'm going to sit back, kicking my feet, and watch the LA dysfunction play out in real time.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, you know, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Live here on Sports Grid, it is time to talk to the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, as he and the team over at SixScore.com have continued to do an excellent job helping us out this season. And they can help you out. You head over to SixScore.com. You get the 6 picks. You can use code SportsGrid. Get a little bonus action in there, Doc. How are we feeling on this Sunday?
We got a lot of things happening this Sunday. It's the week of the return of most of the quarterbacks. Last week was the week that missing all the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Again, the 6 picks, by the way, have been fantastic this season. They continue to find some gaps within the health for these teams. And, Doc, I was telling you a little bit before we get going, if it wasn't for SixScore.com, I might have overemphasized the injuries on the Giants side because the team across the field from them is a zombie squad in the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, there's no question. That's the injury game of the day here. And San Francisco have been the most injured team all season. And last year they were the second most injured team. So it's been a rough go for them. But the other thing we also look at is Delta, which is week-to-week health change. And San Francisco, I guess, can't get any worse. So eventually they're going to get better.
Doc, when you look at the marquee game of the day, Kansas City and Buffalo. Buffalo dealing with some injuries right now. Kansas City on 6 score, 88. Buffalo at 80. But the big news is Ed Oliver obviously out for this game, and Daquan Jones. Talk to me about this matchup from the injury perspective.
You're absolutely right there. 2 key D linemen, their best D lineman, and Ed Oliver, and also Shaq Thompson is also out, right? And there's some secondary issues. So the Chiefs continue to get good luck scheduling. We've talked about it on SportsGrid here. In week 4, we said, take the Chiefs over the Baltimore Ravens. They started with their defensive injuries, and it was after the Chiefs game it became evident that the Ravens got injured a lot. Same thing happened when the Chiefs played the Detroit Lions. Take the Chiefs there. Detroit Lions had D linemen injured and a lot of secondary injuries. This last week, Washington Commanders had a lot of defensive injuries, and everyone's like, well, the Chiefs are just good, and they didn't have Jane Daniels. No, it was the defensive injuries that led to the Chiefs win. And the Chiefs get lucky again today facing Buffalo, who's just coming up on some new defensive injuries.
And, Doc, for, again, just over, with all of this information, right? Sometimes people are wondering, hey, when's someone going to be back? But also the day-to-day, we talk about from the team perspective, you guys have also continued to find edges within then the props market and the player performances due to how one position group versus another really grades out.
Yeah, and when we look at the prop market, we're just not looking at the fantasy prop player himself. It's about the O-line. It's about the defense that they're facing, and specifically the defender that they're facing in terms of the health. So when we look at a quarterback projection, it's not, is Patrick Mahomes healthy? It's what about the offensive line? What about the pass rushers? What about the secondary? And then the health of his wide receivers. And we're really kind of the only site that looks at the other side of the ball when we're looking at prop projections. And the player edge has been quite beneficial for the 6-score subscribers.
Doc, I do want to bring up Jaden Daniels. He'll be under center tonight. 100% capacity, not limited coming out of the injury. We saw Mariota take over, but Jaden Daniels should be complete go tonight?
Jaden Daniels is a complete go. The worry is about his defense. J.J. McCarthy is a complete go. Look, you saw Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, return and have a slightly sluggish first half. Okay, he scored 14 points, but one was on a 4-yard touchdown drive. J.J. McCarthy is not Lamar Jackson, right? He's missed 6 weeks, so it's rust, not the ankle there. Joe Flacco is fine. We said in game last Sunday it was an AC joint sprain. He got an injection, finished the game. We knew he'd play fine today and be in the game today. But what about game plan? He's only been in Cincinnati for 3 weeks right now, and he didn't really practice a lot. So really, what can you install and run for Cincinnati? That's the concern, not his shoulder.
Just quickly, Doc, before we let you go, since you mentioned Cincinnati, a team acquiring Trey Hendrickson, should they expect a guy ready to play that week, next week potentially, or is that going to be a longer-term situation for him?
I think it's short-term, if not immediate, for Trey Hendrickson, if they are going to trade him.
Okay, listen, that's why because, and I don't think it's a situation, it doesn't read like one where it's like, the second you trade me, I'm the healthiest guy in the league, but it's certainly something to keep our eyes on. Doc, we appreciate it, as always. Thanks so much. Best of luck following what should be a very important slate here on this Sunday.
Thank you.
Again, 6score.com. You get everything that you need. Promo code SportsGrid at sign-up will get you a little bit of bonus in there for all the sick picks and analysis that you need heading into these Sundays. Let's get ready, though, here after this break, the whip around. We go through every game. Look, we've moved some things around here today, but we're going to go through every single one of them from top to bottom, right into that Sunday nighter, as Joe mentioned. We'll be right back. We are live on SportsGrid with Pro Football Today.
What have the Jays done all season long? And you've seen it, Kev, as a fan of the AL East. They get murdered or lose a heartbreaking game and come back and punch you in the face. They're not. It's what, like the old Jays team used to fold, and that's what I used to hate about them. These guys are different. They're like guys you go to war with. It's like, man, you're my buddy. Like, let's go. Like, their clubhouse dynamic, I've never seen a Blue Jay team where everyone gets along.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Apparently, he's a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. The 49ers are decimated by injury. This guy's doing it again. Wade Phillips, Norv Turner, all these guys, there's a lot of great coordinators out there. I'm not so sure Mike McDaniel isn't a real good coordinator, a run game coordinator, a quarterback coach with the 49ers during some Super Bowl years. Maybe he's just not built to be a head coach.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think a divorce is coming. I don't think LeBron finishes the year with the LA Lakers. And the trump card he tried to play has backfired on him big time. And I'm here for all the smoke. I got my marshmallows. I got my skewers. I got the fireplace. I'm going to sit back, kicking my feet, and watch the LA dysfunction play out in real time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state, you're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, You didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are right back here on SportsGrid. It is Pro Football Today. It is time for the whip around. And Joe, again, some things got moved around. So we head into some of these games, actually most of these games for the first time on this show. Do you feel good? Do you feel ready?
Some might say this is the way the show should be constructed.
Well, now we have our first suspect. That's a 4.5 to 5 point favorite total in this one in the mid-40s, 45.5 here, Joe. A big game for New England. They've had a very light schedule. This is one of the shorter numbers I feel we've seen for the Pats in a couple of weeks now. Upset alert, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know if it's I think Atlanta's going to be in this game. I really do. I do lean to the under 45.5 again. I don't believe Michael Penix and that offense are going to be built to get into a shootout with Drake May just because New England has more consistency. We've seen this Atlanta team up and down week to week. I think they're going to have to utilize the rushing attack with Bijan Robinson. To me, he's the key. Yeah. Didn't utilize him in the blowout loss against Miami. It's amazing he didn't even eat on the ground in that matchup. They put the football into Kirk Cousins' hands, but I do feel he potentially gets to 80 or 90 yards. It's an under 45.5, but I'm going to take the points with Atlanta in this matchup.
I don't have a great feel as far as this side goes, but the more I look at it, the more it feels like New England just hold on for a 7-point win where you're in it, you have a chance, but they get the job done. It's not one of my favorites, but I do love that Drake May prop, 13.5 for a long run. May has been explosive on the ground this year, and the Falcons have struggled a banged-up front against the mobile quarterbacks, and Drake May fits that description. Packers-Panthers, Joe, big number here, 13.5, total 43.5. I took the 13 and a hook with Carolina. I think Bryce Young is decidedly better than Andy Dalton, which is why I laid off of their game last week against Buffalo. I think it's gotten us a much better number here against the Packers. Let's not forget, you and I both on Green Bay last week. So many people talked about what that meant to Pittsburgh. It meant a lot to Green Bay. I think it's hard for them to win this game, but they got to be up 24 for me to think I don't have a chance. I think Carolina can hang at 13.5.
I mean, it's a good look. I mean, anytime you get 2 touchdowns, and again, they were inefficient with Andy Dalton at the helm. I do like Ted McMillan to break out potentially again against that secondary. We saw DK Metcalf get 60-plus yards and score a touchdown last week, so I still think Ted McMillan could eat in this matchup. But again, I'm a little perplexed about the total in this game. My heart does tell me to take the over just because I think Bryce Young could potentially eat, and we know Jordan Love and that passing attack got going, especially with Christian Watson involved in now. It's like they have 8 wide receivers that potentially can break out. We know Tucker Kraft. I would still take the points with Carolina, but I would lean no play on the over. My heart says over, but I just can't get there.
All right, we're going to go over now to Houston and Denver. Total in this one of 41.5. This actually opened with Denver as a favorite. I thought the Texans would be tempting if it moved towards Denver, maybe get a field goal. It's moved all the way towards Houston at 2.5. Perhaps because of that Patrick Surtain injury, Joe, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, out for this game with Nico Collins on his way back for Houston.
Yeah, and that's the key. I mean, we saw Houston step up and dominate an undermanned San Francisco team. I think from a matchup perspective, their secondary really was able to contain Mac Jones. He only had a $193, forced him to work down the field and work and kick field goals as opposed to scoring touchdowns. I think this is a different animal now. When we saw Denver break out against Dallas, we saw the fourth quarter for Bo Nix over the New York Giants. I really like this passing attack now. I lean to Denver in this matchup, Kev, but I really like the over. I think the 40.5, we could roll right through this with Nix and now C.J. Stroud and the passing attack coming on. I don't think they're going to be able to run it. Javonte Williams didn't get any success last week, and I think Dallas has a little bit better rushing attack than Houston, so I think it's C.J. Stroud and Bo Nix over the top. Like Evan Ingram, anytime touchdown, huge number. I think he's going to hit pay dirt today.
You like this game today. I can tell when you like one. You like this game today. I lean Houston, but I can't bet them at 2.5. I know people say that doesn't matter. It matters to me. I can't get involved. Can't get involved with the Tennessee Titans. Just won't do it. I need to see a lot more. Cam Ward last week, hooked it up on the completions. He stays in the full game, continues to throw. I think that's a market you can continue to attack. But this is a very tricky football team, Joe, because they keep catching a ton of points, and they keep not covering.
I'll just say this. If you look at the MO of L.A. On the 1 o'clock time zone, they laid a huge number against the Giants, lost. They laid a huge 3.5 against the Dolphins, 1 but didn't cover. They're 2 times on the ATS, 0 for 2. I'm going to take a shot and take Tennessee plus the 9.5. Think it's a lower scoring game. Props-wise, I didn't look anywhere on Tennessee, believe it or not. But I did take Ladd McConkey plus 155 anytime. Took Justin Herbert, that has a pretty good number. I think he could hit pay dirt as well, just in case. I put him in a huge parlay.
So this is I don't want that. I think you'll see Herbert throw it, certainly, though, against that Tennessee team. Cincinnati and Chicago. This is a very important game because for Chicago at 4-3, last week's loss, it's less about losing to Baltimore, who had to break through. It's more about how it looked, how it felt. A win here today, you steady the ship. For Cincinnati, a loss here today. That's curtains. They've said it. Trey Hendrickson, they're open to that trade. That means you might as well shut down Burrow. You'd be sitting there 3-6. You have the same amount of wins as Baltimore after all of that, right? I find myself leaning Chicago in this game. No DeAndre Swift. Kyle Monangai should step in admirably here. I think a Joe Flacco interception prop is worth a look, Joe. But this is a game I didn't find myself fired up to get involved with.
Again, I can't get to the total either. I would take a shot with the home dog in Cincinnati, knowing how they lost to the New York Jets. Again, you talked about chips in the middle of the table, and we saw Caleb a little bit in road environment struggle. I would take a shot with the home dog and on the money line. Props-wise, I did take a shot. When you just look at T. Higgins, anytime touchdown, I took Chase Brown minus 105. I do feel Chase Brown is the key for Cincinnati. I like his rushing prop today. I think he could blow through it against Chicago's defense because, again, right now, the way this defense is, they can't afford to get into these 39, 38 type of games. They have to sustain drives. They have to keep Caleb in the offense on the sidelines a little bit more with the rushing attack. I think Chase Brown is the key.
This next game it's really become my favorite side of the day. The Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh.
They go to Pittsburgh as a field goal and a half favorite. Grab that hook. You may not need it. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Do you really?
Here.
I
do. No,
can't
but Joe, think about that. The fact that you can't means you should. Last week,
I'll be kicking
Sunday
myself.
Night, everybody, Tomlin, home dog, bye week, Rodgers, revenge. It was 2.5 against the better Packers team. I don't care. The Colts have 1 loss. So does Green Bay. Okay, Green Bay is better than Indianapolis and laid a full point less than this. The Steelers step up. This is a Mike Tomlin spot. Oh, the 7-1 Colts. Steelers are dead. Here come the Ravens. This is a Tomlin spot. That defense was embarrassed last week. Look at this total, 51.5. They got Daniel Jones going in and lighting these terrible towels on fire. No chance.
I will say the road, it's Jonathan Taylor more than Daniel Jones today.
Fumble.
But I still feel the perception is still that the Steelers will right the ship and be a playoff contender. I'm on the other side of the fence. I think this is a 7-win football team at most. I think they just overexceeded a little bit early.
Yep.
I think their defense could be exposed. I think Indianapolis has the more consistent offense. They have an identity. Love them or hate them, Daniel Jones still playing much better than Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they're begging you to take the 3.5 with Pittsburgh. And again,
totally disagree with you.
I'm laying it with Indy. Do like the under.
All right. Yeah, listen.
Not involved in the props, though.
Listen,
in this game.
You know what? You got to take a little bit more time to think about that game. Here's a game you've been thinking about all day. Giants-Niners.
I mean, we heard it from the doc. I mean, walking wounded in San Francisco. He's right. I mean, the best is when you listen to the New York media and everybody thinks the Giants and the FBI and the Giants are this 6-3 football team. I mean, I know it's back-to-back road games for San Francisco, but you still have Mac Jones. Mac Jones is still better at this point than Jackson Dart. Christian McCaffrey's better than any offensive weapon the Giants have right now. I think it's a smash job. Double digits. Love Juwan Jennings, yards, and pay dirt, and I think an over's in play. Over 48.
I lean Niners, but I'm going to
I
respect.
love the Niners.
I'm going to respect Home, Dable, and Dart right now, who have yet to lose at home
come
together.
on.
We got a lot of great games to continue to break down. We'll do it after the break here on SportsGrid. There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
We are back at the right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi.
Whoa. He's doing intel. Hit the video.
We get to the J.J. McCarthy game.
I love this game.
You love this game.
I know. Your dog of the day is Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
My dog of the day is Minnesota. It's a must-win game.
Sure.
Yeah, but again, divisional matchup. Now we're seeing 9.5 coming to the market. I already booked it. I have the 9.5 with Minnesota and JJ. I do feel Addison could be a factor in this matchup. Hawkinson I took as an anytime touchdown.
Yeah.
And I know how dominant Detroit is. I get it. 3-0 at home this year, and they've just been boat racing teams by an average margin of victory of basically 23.3 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian Flores, this defense with their backs against the wall, JJ coming back, can't get into a high-scoring affair. We know that. There might be a little bit of ring rust. I think Aaron Jones potentially could eat on the ground. I like his player prop. And again, you want to keep Jared Goff on the sidelines. How do you do that? Methodical, slow, ball control type of drives. And it's a divisional game. Anytime you have a divisional matchup, and this team isn't garbage, they're just not playing well, and quarterback has been a concern this year. But the defense, to me, is still above average, and I believe in Brian Flores on the road. I know they got blown out last year with Sam Darnold, but in a must-win game, you want to give me almost 10 points, I'll take them.
Yeah, so I'll say it multiple times. I don't mind playing spoiler. My best bet of the entire slate is the Vikings team total over 19.5. I don't
You're going
mind.
to get me in on this.
But Joe, because here's the thing. I don't mind the 9.5, but I'm not signing up here for Minnesota, 21-14. Maybe, and you'll cover, and that's fine. The Vikings offense has to step up. And you're going to say, you're putting money into J.J. McCarthy. Kind of. It's a Kevin O'Connell bet. This team needs to bounce back off of a very lackluster offensive performance on Thursday night. They have extra prep time, as does Detroit. I don't want to get in front of that Lions offense. I'm all the way here to back this Minnesota offense over the 19.5. We'll get more into it. We'll do the best bets and everything.
Yeah.
Saints-Rams. I took a 14 and a hook here. Maybe the Rams will destroy them. They're healthy as can be. Puka's back. Might be, an absolute light show. Tyler Shuck might be worse than Rattler. I get it. we finally are getting a big-time number on New Orleans. Every week, sharp side, 4.5 down to 3.5 at home against Tampa Bay. The Bucs played maybe the worst game of the season and covered the number by 20. At 14.5, I have to give this Saints team a chance to hang with the Rams in a bit of a sleepy spot for LA. I know they're off a bye week. I think that works even more in the favor of the Saints sneaking up on them and staying inside the 14.5.
I like the 14.5 as well. Again, I think it's way too many points. We saw favorites dominate last week. I think potentially dogs could be eating, especially big dogs this week. So, again, I don't mind the 14.5. Not sold on LA being an elite team. I think they're good. I think 10-7, 11-6 is about where you saw. But I still think that New Orleans with Tyler Shook, if they're aggressive with the play calling, could still put up points and get through this total. So I do like the Saints, but I like the over 43.5.
All right, let's get over now to the big game on this slate. It is Kansas City and it is Buffalo. And you and I seem to be seeing it similarly here. As a home dog, it's Buffalo to me. Kansas City is healthier. And but here's the thing. They are healthier. Aside from that, they're like, they're playing better. Are they? Buffalo came off a bye and just won by 40 with Josh Allen completing like 8 passes.
Well,
I don't like. Why is it's not Buffalo's not playing awful football?
No, but I just think when you see Kansas City and you see them winning 3 straight. They won by an average margin of victory of 21.6 points per game. They knock off, a public dog last week in Washington, on primetime where they were laying 11.5, and they covered it easy and completely shut down Washington's offense in the second half of that game. I just think the perception is, they're more complete than the Buffalo Bills. And again, this total is, I think, priced right. Every time they play, it's right, 27-24. 30, 20, it's right there. I can't get to the total, but I can get to the side. I like Buffalo at home as a home dog. And again, we've seen Kansas City's defense be exposed by less than stellar offenses. I mean, again, yes, Jacksonville is making their way with Liam Cohen, but they really sliced and diced that defense in the second half of that matchup. We saw Detroit move the football, even though they lost the game. Again, they have never had answers for Josh Allen in the regular season. I don't think it stops now. I think James Cook, potentially you want to take yardage, ground, and receiving today. I think that's an option because in the playoff loss, did have 49 receiving yards.
Yeah, props-wise, Joe, I struggle a little bit with this, and I think it's a game where maybe you can kind of spread it around some outcomes. I'm on the Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown.
That's a good look.
As we talked about. I think it's a great
2 last week.
Yeah, and I just, without Pacheco, I think in the game like this, I think it's going to be a lot more Kareem Hunt than Brashad Smith. And I think Smith can be involved.
Not on the goal line, though. He's not built like that.
Well, he won't sniff a carry. And that's the thing to me. Now, what I am worried, though, about Mahomes looking to run him in. Because he loves getting in a game like this. Listen, I've been floating around the Lisi markets a little bit. Josh and Mahomes each for 2. It's like, 20, it's like 230 to 1, right? Like, you get these. There's some interest and some bite on these big numbers here because you get these two together and they may look to just kind of smash every single number.
Well, in the AFC Championship game, Mahomes had 2 on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Kincaid today.
Yeah.
Just because tight ends have always been a problem. When you look at Laporta got into the end zone in the loss for Detroit all last year, we saw tight ends abuse Spagnuolo's defense. Again, it has always been Dawson Knox, but Kincaid has had a much bigger role in the offense this year, and he's found them in red zone opportunities. In this type of game, I think he finds them again.
Yeah, let's make sure we get Sunday Night Football on the board here, Joe. Trickier game, but Jaden Daniels is back. He's a home dog against Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. You like this one?
I do. I like Washington. Must-win game. And I know Seattle with the road dominance, but again, I think this is a Jaden Daniels game. Looks to take the team on his shoulders. I like the over, but I like the outright win. Give me the money line and the 3 points with the Commanders. Again, if they lose this game, potentially they could be 3-7. I don't think they can stand for it. And again, I know Seattle's defense is good, but they play a lot of man-to-man, which could mean Jaden Daniels in the rushing attack.
I have found a lot of people laying it with Seattle this week are being very dismissive over Jaden Daniels. I think I've been more complimentary to. It's interesting, right? This year I compliment them more. You're lower on the team. I think it kind of all it lines up though with what how this season is. I give him credit.
Right.
The team isn't as good.
No Terry McLaurin, but that's why more.
I don't think Jaden Daniels is an easy fade. I think his props are tempting. I did skip a game. See if you can remember which. There's a reason why. We'll get to that. Your best bets. Sell me something. Everything that you need to close it out here on a Sunday on Sports.
This is a guy we should be adding. And if you add him this week, you loved life because he was coming off not just a great Sunday last week when we were ahead of that curve, but also a great Thursday night football as well. So last week, 7 for 9 for 164 and a touchdown. This week on Thursday, 5 for 5, 77 and a touchdown. He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of the year, and he's already a top 10 tight end in scoring, if you can believe it. Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Travis Hunter, Joe, is a part-time wide receiver. As I've told people from the moment he was drafted, there's zero chance long-term that they'll continue to do this in terms of playing offense and defense. They're going to have to pick a position with him. Brian Thomas, he was unbelievable. Talking to the Jaguars about him last season, he was so far ahead of schedule where they thought he'd be super smart. He had a wrist injury, by the way. We need to mention that, Joe, earlier this season.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
SMU is undefeated. You got Louisville that knocked off Miami.
Yeah.
Miami has one loss. There's multiple teams that potentially can make a run for an ACC championship. So their backs are still against the wall. Like Georgia Tech is not a shoo-in right now just because they're undefeated, because they still have to play Georgia at the end of the year as well. Even though it's out of conference, that can knock them out of the playoff.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Blue Jays are going to be dangerous for years to come because they have money. They're a fun team. Other players like Guerrero, the Blue Jays are a first-class organization. They treat the players very well. They're first-class complex. As I stated earlier, you can live like across the street from the stadium, and there's no drama. You don't have to sit in traffic ever. You have an entire country that buys your jerseys and are big fans of yours.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today, Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. I skipped Jaguars Raiders. Why would I do that? Was that an honest mistake? Or was I just clearing out the runway for our best bet segments here heading into week number 9 of the Sunday slate? I think, honestly, it was the first one. But, Joe, it worked out beautifully. You love this game.
I do, not sidewise. I do. I think it's a fishy line, I will say that, especially with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers coming back. If I was forced to take a side, I would take the Raiders in this matchup. But I like the over. The over opened at 44.5. We're seeing 43.5s creep into the market. Again, we've seen Ashton Genty and the rushing attack come on in recent weeks. But again, now you have weapons. I think this is a Trevor and a Geno game. I think potentially they both can go for 250 plus, multiple touchdowns. And again, I think Jacksonville will look to push a little bit of tempo. And I think Las Vegas now can, go run with them. And I think that's what Geno has needed, is he needed Brock Bowers back. They've had a limited game plan since he's been out, and they've looked to run the football to grind out wins. And against better competition, they can't play from behind. In this type of game, I think they open it up.
I like the
Love
look,
the
Joe.
over.
I like the look. Devin Lloyd is out for this one. I played Brock Bowers a little earlier in the week at a 50-plus receiving number. I think Bowers has a monster game. I really do. I think Genty's live for the end zone here. I cannot wait to see if Brian Thomas Jr. meets the moment. Trade rumors, Hunter's out for a while, off the bye. I'm very excited to watch that play out. Like I said, for me, the best bet. Let me run through some numbers, if I may, for the people here. The Minnesota Vikings team total over 19.5. K-Dub, you cannot say the things you've said about J.J. McCarthy and expect us to bet this. First of all, J.J. McCarthy has not played football in 6 weeks because they did a soft benching to allow him some time to come back and level up. McCarthy's known he was returning against Detroit for weeks. It just so happens to be the mini-bye. Yeah, all coincidence. That's how long ankle sprains always take. This is the moment that Kevin O'Connell has been waiting for. and it coincides with a rare occurrence, which is a Kevin O'Connell-led team scoring under 20 points. Happened once this season, JJ's last start. They scored 6. The next week, they scored 48. Oh, it was against Cincinnati. It was against Cincinnati. Turnover. I don't care. They scored 48 points. Last year, it happened, and again, they scored 12. The next week, they scored 23. It did happen week 18 and into the wild card round. That's why paying Sam Darnold to be a franchise quarterback was maybe wild. But okay, so be it. Then we saw it was a 4-1 the next week. He makes sure to not happen. And the one, though, happened off a bye. So if you remove playoffs and bye weeks, 9 for 9. He is not going 22 games in a row without 20. They scored 20. Maybe they gave up 50. I don't care. Well, I do because I'm rooting in Joe. But, Joe, I'm telling you, it is the Vikings team total over 19.5. And you see that guy right there, Justin Jefferson? They need to make sure that J.J. McCarthy gets him the football and he flourishes.
Oh, absolutely. And, again, when you have a playmaker, a pure number one that could take the top off the defense, opens up everything in that matchup. So you might get me in before kick. We still have about 8 minutes. I might be in as long as I could parlay it with something because, again, just taking the straight is, But I like Minnesota today. I do. Divisional game, too many points.
What do you want? You want a same-game parlay? What do you want to parlay it with?
I'll tell you what. I'll take it with the total in Denver and Houston.
Well, we have this sophomore quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's Nix, McCarthy, Caleb, Daniels, Penix.
Yeah.
Am I missing anyone? Right?
Drake May. Right.
Oh, right. So do we just take all of their team totals over? Can I change that to my sell me something on the fly? I'll be honest. My sell me something, Lisi, I wanted to get a little for Sunday Night Football. I do expect the ball to be moved here in this game. Darnold and Daniels for 600-plus passing is 7-1. Any bite for you on that number?
That's a little light for you.
Yeah, I've tried some big ones.
Nah.
But you usually you kind of put me in check because I played a big one not too long ago and you went, yeah, that'll win, that'll lose, bingo, bango, and it worked out perfectly.
All right,
so I'll set the stage for you.
So I do like Jaden Daniels to potentially throw it for 40 times in this game. We'll see if Darnold – I'm always worried about Seattle's MO, but we'll see. I took an SEC sell me something. You know how I am with the LSU guys. Well, the fact that the Jets are on bye, couldn't take Mason Taylor. So we took Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown, goes to your thing. Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown.
Yeah.
And then Bijan Robinson, Texas, even though he wasn't there when Texas still in the SEC. Over rushing because he's the key. And this James Cook in the receiving game. It's a huge number. It's a huge number.
Yeah, but all of that, there's only one thing I got a problem with.
James Cook.
What are we doing, Joe?
Joe,
he's gone a 3-week run without a catch.
And what did he do last year against Kansas City?
I assume he caught a ball.
He caught 6 passes for 49 yards, and they didn't have him on the last drive.
Broken clock. He's going to get him one of these weeks. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh, In-Game Live is next. There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, You didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.